Welcome to the Sekapark Arena in İzmit, Turkey. I'm Farouk Mutkin, and this is Turkish oil wrestling at its finest.
I'm Ramazan Taksaz, oil wrestling commentator with Kanal B, and very pleased to be covering this championship alongside you this evening. If this is your first time watching Turkish oil wrestling, Yagli Gurs, welcome. This is one of the oldest sports on earth, and we will guide you through every moment.
Evet, Kumluca'da pehlivanlar diyarı, Serik'te pehlivan.
The 18th edition of the Kocaeli Sekapark Altın Kemer Championships, the Golden Belt Championships, and tonight, the stakes could not be higher.
Ben şöyle girizgah yapmak isterim ki, yağlı güreşin başkenti Antalya'dan Altın Kemer'in başkenti Kocaeli'ye.
This is the fourth and final leg of the CW Enerji Turkey Oil Wrestling League, and the last chance before Kırkpınar. Everything on the line, right here, tonight.
A quick orientation to the sport itself. Wrestlers cover themselves from head to toe in olive oil, wear thick leather breeches called the kispit, and compete on open grass. No mat, no ring, no cage. Just the field. The goal, force your opponent to expose their navel completely to the sky. That is the signal of defeat in oil wrestling, belly upward, facing the heavens. Or you can lift and bring them down cleanly from a standing position. Either ends the match. There are no weight classes in the traditional sense. Divisions, called boy, are based on competitive record and promotion through the ranks. The highest division is called Ba, the head division. Every wrestler on this field tonight is a basbalayvan. The top tier in Turkish oil wrestling.
Here is what is at stake tonight. 8 remaining spots in the Kırkpınar field. These are called the Alav Sekiz, the added 8. The 32 base spots were already claimed from last year's standings.
This league has had 3 stages before tonight: Gaziantep, Manavgat, and Manisa Yönetici. Points from each stage carry forward and accumulate. Kocaeli Sekapark is the final reckoning before Kırkpınar in July.
Maximum points available across both days of competition here, 22. And TGGF, Turkey's traditional wrestling federation, has confirmed a 3-point bonus for the outright champion. That number can move careers.
The Alav Sekiz wrestlers, those 8 additional Kırkpınar qualifiers, enter the tournament in the 5th draw group in Edirne. That means they face opponents from the top 4 seeding groups early. A harder path. But Kırkpınar is Kırkpınar. Every wrestler in Turkey wants to stand on that field. The format here at Sekapark across 3 days. Tonight is the first round, 6 matches in the basbalayvan category. Tomorrow, 2nd through 4th rounds plus quarterfinals. Sunday, semi-finals and the final. Points are awarded progressively at each stage. A first round win earns a base score. Advancing further multiplies that. The gap between reaching the final and not is significant in the current standings math. That 3-point bonus for the champion is a meaningful new incentive this season.
2 very different groups are on this field tonight. Wrestlers already guaranteed their Kırkpınar berth, here for form and preparation. And wrestlers fighting for their mathematical lives in the standings. Every single point matters for that second group. Enes Doğan, the defending league champion. This year, injuries set him back significantly. He is ranked far below where his talent puts him. Against İsmail Erkal tonight, expect him to want to remind everyone who he is.
About Enes Doğan, he won the league championship last year. A dominant season, a remarkable performance across every event. This year he came in carrying an injury, and it has shown in the results. He is far below the standing his talent warrants.
İsmail Erkal is sitting 7th in the Alav Sekiz standings going into tonight, just inside the cutoff, and with several wrestlers hunting his position from below.
planlaması yaptıklarını düşünenlerdenim ama
The theory among those who follow this closely, Dogan, Şimşek, and Mehmet Yeşil Yeşil are using these league stages as Kırkpınar preparation.
Manevi ve
Their eye is already on July.
Enes Doğan da
Tonight is form building, not survival.
onun da bir
Serhat Elvan is fourth in those standings, but he is here tonight with a serious shoulder injury. Whether he can compete at full capacity is a very open question.
bu arada Faruk abi
What makes İsmail Erkal's position precarious? A wrestler 5 or 6 places behind him could mathematically reach him with a strong 2-day tournament here.
o bilgiyi de
The window is open for several challengers.
Elvan şu anda 10 puanda. Tabii
If Elvan cannot deliver points, up to 5 wrestlers below him have a realistic path to his spot. Nothing is settled until the last whistle on Sunday.
arkasındaki pehlivanlardan 5'i, kendisi şu an 4. sırada.
Serhat Elvan's shoulder injury, the kind of condition athletes sometimes compete through on adrenaline.
Baş pehlivan
But oil wrestling is full contact grappling. The shoulder is load-bearing in nearly every technique.
dolayısıyla ilk 8'in dışında
Every sarma, every lift, every transition puts direct stress on that joint.
uzak bir ihtimal ama
The concern is genuine.
Cengizhan Şimşek, the current leader of the developmental tier in this league, and he represents Kocaeli. This is his home field. This crowd knows his name, and they are going to be loud for him tonight.
önceliğimiz şu anda bu tur için özellikle ilave 8
The USTA-Iraq relationship, master and apprentice, is how this sport has transmitted itself across 7 centuries.
galibiyeti var.
Every Basbalivan has a lineage.
Puanı da sadece bir
You can trace technique through families, through regions.
başlayan
It is living history, made physical on the field in every single match. Onur Susuz is a fascinating study in modern oil wrestling.
Okan Acar mücadele.
He brings the full traditional technical vocabulary, the sarma wraps, the positional control, but married to an athleticism and intensity that is distinctly of this generation.
Kazanması gerekiyor. Bir kere
Onur Susuz is in a completely different situation. He has already guaranteed his Kırkpınar berth, the leader of the Alav Sekiz standings. Tonight, for him, is preparation for July, not a fight for survival.
şey değil.
Hasan Cengiz is what the sport calls darbali, hard-hitting, physical, rooted in an older generation of wrestling.
Değerlendirecek.
He does not have Susuz's speed or explosiveness,
Bölünmüş.
but he has ring craft that only years of real competition can teach.
Şu an 7. sırada.
That cannot be replicated in training alone.
Ama
His first round opponent tonight, Hasan Cengiz, a genuine veteran of this sport. Youth against experience, intensity against craft. This is the matchup the crowd came to see.
Enes Doğan İsmail
Watch the kispit interaction throughout this match.
Serkan Sertürk.
The drawstrings at the waistband, the IP, are the hidden chess game inside every bout.
O da
The great wrestlers in the history of this sport have always won or lost that grip battle first.
bir ihtimal
Everything else flows from there.
alacağı puanlara göre ilk 2 turu yarınki
One technical detail worth knowing. Every wrestler wears the kispit, thick leather breeches, water buffalo hide. At the waistband are drawstrings called the IP. Controlling those strings is one of the most valued skills in the sport.
10 puanı var. Serkan Sertürk bu turu kazanıp
Hasan Cengiz has a particular reputation as one of the finest manipulators of the kispit strings in his generation.
2 tur yaparak
He can loosen an opponent's grip at exactly the right moment, like a rope going suddenly slack, and manufacture an opening from what appeared to be a controlled position.
genelindeki puan tablosu da elbette ki önemli ama tabii şu anda ilginç olan bir durum var.
Mehmet Yeşil Yeşil against Okan Acar, two wrestlers with completely different missions tonight. Yeşil Yeşil is protecting his legacy. Acar desperately needs the points. One match, two entirely different games.
Sekapark'tan
Okan Acar fights for Antalya's Kocaeli municipality. That region has produced remarkable wrestlers across multiple generations.
birinde de 5.
There is a style associated with Antalya's Pelivanla, aggressive, high commitment, technically precise under pressure, and Acar carries that tradition
If
forward.
Okan Acar can win this match and reach the quarterfinals tomorrow, he keeps his mathematical shot at the Alav Sekiz alive. It is slim, but it is real. He has to win to keep it open.
olmasına rağmen güzel ayakta mücadele devam ediyor. Özellikle Hasan Cengiz
For context on how wrestlers reach Kırkpınar at all, you build a career at regional and national levels, earn promotion through the divisions, and eventually enter the league circuit.
Sonuçta sonra
For many wrestlers, simply reaching Kırkpınar even once is the summit of a lifetime of work.
Sekapark'ı şöyle değerlendirmek istiyorum. Bugün ve pazar günü
3 league stages completed this season.
mücadelelerde bence
3 separate moments where wrestlers made their mark.
önemli. Bunun üzerinde
This system rewards not just talent, but consistency.
müsabaka
Showing up and performing at a high level across 4 months of competition is its own form of excellence.
verecek olan İsmail Erkal.
Enes Doğan, last year's league champion. This season has not gone to plan. Injury, underperformance, rankings well below his own standard. Facing Erkal tonight, and we will find out very quickly what version of Doğan showed up.
değil. Diğer tabii nokta
There is a discussion in Turkish wrestling circles about what has made this season so difficult for Doğan. Some draw a distinction between the physical injury he carries and what might be called psychologic sakatlık, a psychological injury.
Kırkpınar'a
The confidence wound that follows when your results do not match your sense of who you are.
karşılaştığı Enes Doğan karşısında büyük bir mücadele performansı.
In individual combat sports, the psychological dimension is arguably the most consequential. You cannot hide behind teammates.
Birden fazla.
Every hesitation telegraphs to your opponent. Every moment of doubt is legible in your positioning and timing.
Vereceği
The wrestlers who recover from difficult seasons almost always address both body and mind.
Serkan Sertürk, currently outside the Alav Sekiz altogether. He needs to win today and go deep tomorrow just to stay in any realistic conversation. This is must-win territory before the first grip is even taken.
sakatlık aldığımız bilgilere göre.
Serkan Sertürk faces Hamza Özkaradeniz in round 1 tonight.
Ama Tolga Turan
Sertürk needs to win here, and then produce strong results across both rounds tomorrow.
Semih Turgut
His path to the Alav Sekiz requires near-perfect execution over the entire 2-day event.
azaldıkça az.
That 3-point bonus for winning the championship. Do not underestimate it. 3 points at this stage of the standings could be the difference between the 8th spot and the 9th, between Kırkpınar and going home.
Finale kadar gidecek yolda çok ama çok önemli kura şansları da var.
This league format is only in its 3rd year, created in 2023 by the Turkish Traditional Wrestling Federation.
Açıklanan
Before this system existed, it was a single elimination event.
bu noktada
One bad day ended everything.
düşünüyorum çünkü
Now there are 4 stages. For genuine opportunities,
şekilleneceği
the change has been fundamental.
nefeslerinin
Let me tell you what these wrestlers are fighting to reach. Kırkpınar, the Oil Wrestling Championships in Edirne, Turkey, running continuously since 1346.
8 baş pehlivanı.
Before the league existed, wrestlers outside the top 32 accessed Kırkpınar through a separate elimination tournament. One bad draw, one difficult day, and your season was over.
En üstteki
Now there are 4 events across 4 months. A true sustained campaign.
finale yükselerek
That change has been transformative for the wrestlers on the bubble.
The Guinness Book of World Records recognizes Kırkpınar as the longest continuously running athletic event in human history. 665 consecutive years this July.
Bu yüzden
Kırkpınar has run since 1346, recognized by UNESCO as intangible cultural heritage of humanity.
belki
The President of Turkey attends each year.
hazırlan.
Up to 15,000 people watch in Edirne as 40 wrestlers compete for the golden belt.
Görebilir Onur Susuz ama
The belt itself, 14 karat gold, 1.5 kilograms, valued at more than $250,000.
7 baş
Win it 3 consecutive years and it is yours to keep permanently.
pehlivanı var 11 puanda.
Yusuf Kanzibek had won the 2 years prior to this current season.
için de geçerli. Hep arkasındaki bulundukları sıraya göre
The winner receives approximately $100,000 and the title Baspaliven, champion of Turkey. Win it 3 consecutive years, and the gold belt is yours to keep forever.
koydukları performansla da ilk 8'deki yerlerini alabilir. Sıralama tamamen değişme ihtimali var. Dolayısıyla neler olacak hep birlikte göreceğiz.
Evet, onursuzuz ama şöyle bir durum var artık. Sen de söylemiş olduğun gibi artık onda bir endişe yok. Tamamen kendi kariyerini şekillendirme adına yapmış olduğu her turdaki mücadele. Şimdi de bundan önce hep zorluk derecesi evet yüksek ama fiziksel olarak eski baş pehlivanlar gibi darbeli güreşen bir Hasan Cengiz aslında kendini de bir test ediyor. Daha önce teknik dayalı, kondisyonda da süratle güreşen güreşçilerle, ustalarıyla güreşti ama burada darbeli ve çok çetin bir mücadeleci performans olan Hasan Cengiz'le güreşiyor. Bu da aslında kendini test ediyor Kırkpınar öncesi. İyi bir sınav oluyor. Yani burada Onur Susuz kendi kariyerini şekillendirme adına her çıktığı mücadelede ne yapacağını gözlemleyeceğiz.
Faruk abi, Serkan Sertürk'ün burada iyi bir mücadele vermesi gerekiyor. İlk 8'e kendine atamasa da en azından Hamza Özkaradeniz'i yenerse ilk 8'e girme şansı artıyor. Ama Hamza Özkaradeniz de sonuçta Başiskele Belediyesi adına güreştiği için
Burası evi
evet,
onun.
kendi ev sahibi.
Back to the field. The atmosphere here has been building all afternoon. The crowd at Sekapark is enormous, and the wrestlers are preparing to take the grass.
Biliyorsun Kırkpınar'da elemeyle katılıyorlardı Kırkpınar'a.
The home field dimension here at Sekapark is real and not to be underestimated. Cengizhan Şimşek competing in front of his Kocaeli community. That connection creates a specific kind of mental energy that simply cannot be replicated at a neutral venue.
Bir pehlivan mentalitesiyle kurgulanmış tamamen bu.
Cengizhan Şimşek, Kocaeli's own. He will have the loudest reception on this field tonight. Wrestling at home, in front of your community. It is a different kind of pressure and a different kind of fuel.
Kırkpınar ama bir müsabakayı kaybederek Kırkpınar'a katılma şansı.
Şimşek leads the Jelisim tier, the developmental classification within the league structure. That is the designation for wrestlers rising through the system before reaching the established Basketball elite. Watch how he carries himself tonight. The body language of someone in form is unmistakable.
Son derece kıymetli bu.
Onur Susuz, born 1997, 27 years old. Already one of the sport's most celebrated figures. Already through to Kırkpınar. Using tonight as preparation, not survival.
Susuz at 27 is already seasoned at the highest level. His guaranteed Kırkpınar berth came from 3 consistent, strong league performances.
Yanlış mı görüyorum?
Sustained excellence, month after month, event after event, is what separates the great wrestlers from the merely talented.
Çok ilginç bir sonuç alındı İsmail.
And wrestling Hasan Cengiz is genuinely valuable preparation for Susuz ahead of Kırkpınar.
Devam edecek olması.
Cengiz wrestles the old school physical style, grinding, striking, absorbing.
Kırkpınar'da yer almak.
If Susuz encounters that profile in Edirne in July, tonight's match becomes the blueprint for how to handle it.
Şimdi
The USTA Sekapark tradition, master and apprentice, runs deep here. Susuz's first teacher was his own father, Mehmet Ali Susuz. And you can see that lineage in every technique he executes on the field.
diğeri de İsmail Erkal oldu. Şimdi ilk 8'den 2.
The USTA Sekapark bond is not only instructional, it is deeply emotional. When a veteran wrestler leaves competition, his apprentice carries forward not just the techniques but the spirit of the teaching. That continuity is what makes Yagligers more than a sport.
Ayrıca
It is a living transmission of culture.
neden olacaktır.
Susuz's father taught him the sarma raps that define his wrestling today. You can trace that technical lineage back decades, through Arap Mustafa and Sarıkamisli Mustafa, legendary wrestlers of a previous era who established the grip and rap traditions that wrestlers like Hasan Cengiz still carry forward.
Orada merak konusu ama büyük bir avantajı kaybetti diyebiliriz. Zorlu bir rakibi vardı. Ama Onur Susuz ben kanaatim odur ki çok önemli bir sınavdan geçiyor. Pomak güreşinin önemli isimlerinden Hasan Cengiz.
We are seconds away from the opening round. 6 matches about to start simultaneously on this massive grass field. The crowd is up. Let's go.
Diğer pehlivanların da önünü açtı.
Cengizhan Şimşek Yalçın Üncül mücadelesinde de Cengizhan Şimşek rakibine üstünlük sağlıyor ve yoluna devam ediyor. Bir başka üstünlük sağlayan baş pehlivan oldu Cengizhan Şimşek. İlk turda.
Evet, bunu ifade etmiştim. Enes Doğan, Cengizhan Şimşek ve Mehmet Yeşil Yeşil rakipleri kim olursa olsun onların Kırkpınar'a...
And we are underway. 6 matches, live, at the same time across this enormous field. The crowd is on its feet, and the noise is incredible. Our cameras go immediately to Onur Susuz and Hasan Cengiz. And Susuz is already pressing hard.
8. Ali Güngörekin var. 6 puan.
Susuz goes immediately for the sarma, up high, near shoulder level.
5 puanda.
That is his comfort zone.
Baş pehlivan.
The objective, rotate the opponent until their belly faces upward. But Cengiz is bending, absorbing, denying the rotation at every attempt. This match has an immediate story.
Daha fazla puan alacak olursa ilk 8'in dışına kalacak İsmail Erkal.
Riske etti bayağı.
Abdülrefik Öner, Şahali Kurt mücadelesinde bir sonuç söz konusu olabilir. Hasan Cengiz Onur Susuz mücadelesinde
Susuz has gone up high with the sarma, the signature body wrap, up near the shoulders and neck. He wants early control, and Cengiz, the veteran, is not panicking, absorbing it, looking for his moment.
Şahali Kurt mücadelesi her an bir sonuç çıkabilir.
Watch the grip battle on the kispit strings.
Yüklendi.
Susuz is working those drawstrings, trying to establish deep waistband control.
Baş pehlivan
And Cengiz is doing exactly what he is renowned for, finding moments of slack, releasing tension at precisely the right moment, denying Susuz any stable foundation.
çevirme çabası içerisinde olursa o kadar avantaj sağlayacaktır Onur Susuz.
Çünkü Faruk Mutkan genelde ilk turlarda hep risk alıyorlar dedik ama çok da suya sabuna dokunmadan özellikle belirli bir strateji ortaya koymuş pehlivanlar çok suya sabuna dokunmazlardı ama Onur Susuz'un her güreşinde mutlaka risk alıyor. Çift sarmaları, kleleri Onur Susuz'dan sıkça görüyoruz. Bu güreşin adına...
Meanwhile, across the field, Abdülrefik Öner and Şahali Kurt in their own big match. Öner fighting for Kocaeli Galkuk municipality, another home crowd connection. And he has looked absolutely sharp from the opening exchanges.
Paçadan yakalayarak Hasan Cengiz savunma yapma çabası
Abdülrefik Öner on the other side of this field has been exceptional.
daha yüklenme çabası.
He has dealt with injury problems this season, and to see him wrestling at this level of aggression and technical precision tonight is genuinely encouraging for anyone who has followed his career.
Sarma güreşini çok iyi yapabilen bir baş pehlivandı kendisi. Baş altından da hep böyle bir çıktı. Kırkpınar'da baş altında final yaptığı yılı hatırlıyorum Hasan Tuna'yla. 1996 yılıydı. Dolayısıyla ilk ustası ve babasından çok güzel sarma oyununu öğrenmiş Onur Susuz. Bunu
Ama
söylemek isterim.
Hasan Cengiz de iyi direndi. Tecrübesini
Burada-
ortaya koydu.
Susuz loading up again, driving hard towards Cengiz's right side, and Cengiz survives. Incredible flexibility. The veteran bends and bends, and just will not go over.
Faruk
Yine
abi
bir
bu
oyun.
Cengiz's flexibility has saved him multiple times already.
Hasan Cengiz'in
His ability to absorb those sarma angles without compromising his base, that physical quality is rare and develops only over a very long career.
Ama bu baskı
You cannot train that into someone.
Öner, Şahali Kurt
It
mücadelesi.
is cultivated through thousands of hours of competition.
patlangoç oyununa yöneldi ama Abdülrefik Öner hemen savuşturdu. Burada ben o mücadeleyi ortada görüyorum ama Onur Susuz'un bir serzenişi söz konusu. Hasan Cengiz ustasının zamana karşı güreştiğini hakemlere bir serzenişte bulundu. Onur Susuz'un bu güreş mentalitesini hakikaten yürekten tebrik ediyorum.
Hold on. Word just coming in from the other match. Wait, Enes Doğan has beaten İsmail Erkal. The defending champion has won in the first round.
Ekranları başındaki güreş severler gibi sonucu.
The IC Kazik into the Ters Paka, the inner leg trip into the reverse leg grab.
Güzel.
That combination is technically demanding to execute under pressure.
Bu arada alt üst
Doğan did not stumble into that finish. He set it up.
Değiştiler. Abdülrefik
He was hunting it.
buraya kadar
That is the mark of a wrestler who knows exactly what he is doing.
böyle ciddi bir sakatlıktan kurtulup şu anda tabii sarma...
Massive result from that match. Enes Doğan reminded everyone tonight who he is, with an IC Kazik into a Ters Paka leg grab. Clean, decisive. That is the champion showing up when it matters.
Hem sarmalarıyla, sarma
İsmail Erkal's situation is now genuinely precarious.
görülmüyor.
He held 7th place in the Alav Sekiz standings. A first round exit means he collects nothing from tonight's match.
Öner, Şahali.
If wrestlers ranked 8th, 9th, 10th pick up points today and tomorrow, he may fall out of the Alav Sekiz entirely.
İsmail Erkal, who was holding 7th in the Alav Sekiz standings, is gone from round 1. He picks up nothing from this match. The wrestlers behind him are going to hear this news and get very energized.
Mehmet Yeşil Yeşil, Okan Acar karşılaşması da devam ediyor. Okan Acar'ın mutlak kazanması.
And Cengizhan Imek has also advanced. He beat Yeltsin Unkal in his first round match. The home crowd here is absolutely loving it. 2 enormous results on the first night.
8 puan. Acaba yeter mi?
What Doğan's result confirms about this sport, talent does not disappear because of a difficult season. The body remembers.
Ulaşabilir ama
The IC Kazik combination has been drilled thousands of times.
arttırabilir gibi görünüyor.
Even in an off year, that training surfaces when the pressure becomes real.
11 olacağını söyledi.
Back on our main screen, Susuz and Cengiz still going. Cengiz has just raised a complaint with the referee. He is arguing that Susuz is working the clock. A smart, experienced challenge from the veteran.
İhtimalleri üzerinden ayrı.
Sağdaki
Ama
mücadele
yani
There is a genuine question in Turkish wrestling circles about whether the sport has sufficient psychological support infrastructure for these athletes.
ustalık mahareti.
How many Bas-Bolivianlar work with sports psychologists?
Mustafa
The mental architecture of a combat athlete may be the most important factor, and it is often underprepared.
mutlaka her rakibinin iplerini çözerdi. Hasan Cengiz de günümüzde bunu başarabilen. Yani hakikaten ipleri bulmak, sicimleri bulmak
Şimdi
çok zor.
Abdülrefik Öner sonuç arıyor Şahali.
The wrestlers behind Erkal in the standings are doing the math right now. If they pick up points here over the next 2 days, the gap closes. This Alavsikis race just got very interesting.
Onu takmış olsaydı dediğin gibi o açıyı girmiş olacaktı açıya.
Cengiz's complaint to the referee is strategically informed, not merely a frustration reflex. If Susuz is using positional dominance to drain the clock while maintaining control, drawing the referee's attention to it disrupts that rhythm.
Güzel,
Even if the ruling goes against him, the interruption changes the match's momentum.
son derece tecrübeli. Bugün çok iyi gördüm.
On the other side of the field, Onur and Kurt are back to their feet. Onur has been the dominant force throughout this match. He is outworking Kurt at every position, every transition.
Yordu kafasını rakibinin ama ayağa kalktılar. Abdülrefik Öner, Şahali Kurt mücadelesinde.
Evet, mücadele ayağa kaldırdı.
Hasan Cengiz Onur Susuz mücadelesi de yine ayakta devam ediyor.
Mücadeleyi ayağa kaldırdı Abdülrefik Öner. Çünkü biraz daha performans olarak Şahali Kurt'u yıpratma taktiği gütmekte Abdülrefik Öner.
Mehmet Yeşil Yeşil temposunu biraz da arttırması lazım. Bu sezon iyi başlamayan baş pehlivanlardan bir tanesi Mehmet Yeşil Yeşil ve hakikaten 2027'deki 32 içerisindeki pozisyonunu sağlamlaştırması lazım. Mehmet Yeşil Yeşil'in biraz daha tabii kabuk değişiyor diyoruz ama çok kura da çok önemli. Okan Acar.
Let's check in now with the rest of the action across Sekapark. The Bouts and other weight divisions are also in full competition on this enormous venue right now.
İlerleyen turlarda yine birlikte olacağız. Var mı bir değerlendirmeniz?
The other divisions at this event deserve acknowledgement. The Bouts, one step below the top division, and several other weight categories are in full competition simultaneously across this venue. Over 1,700 wrestlers are registered across all divisions for the Sekapark event.
Çalışma yapılması lazım.
Nesip Alp leads the Bouts division in the league standings coming into today, the step immediately below the top Bas-Bolivian tier. He has been one of the most consistent performers in that division all season.
Bunu çok merak ediyorum. Teşekkürler Faruk Usta.
Teşekkürler.
Nesip Alp leads the Bouts standings entering today. He won the first league stage and has been among the most consistent wrestlers in that division throughout the season.
Yine arayış
A
içerisinde.
name to follow as the conversation about next year's starting lineups takes shape. 5 Bouts wrestlers will earn promotion to the Bas-Bolivian division for next season. That transition moment, stepping into the top division for the first time, is one of the most closely watched storylines in Turkish oil wrestling. Everything changes when you move up. The competition, the scrutiny, the expectations.
Çok güçlü bir pehlivan.
Back to our headline match. Susuz and Cengiz. They have been at this for an extended stretch now. Both men are visibly marked by the effort. The crowd has not looked away once.
Bu arada Okan Acar Antalya Korkuteli Belediyesi baş pehlivanlığı olarak
One quality of Yagli Gers that distinguishes it from most combat sports: there are no timed rounds, no rest intervals. A match runs until there is a decisive result or until time-based scoring rules apply. At major events, bouts can extend 30 minutes or longer.
Mücadele çıkartıyor.
Endurance is a genuine weapon here.
Okan Yavaş'a da buradan selam olsun. Yalçın İncül'le birlikte Bursa Büyükşehir Belediye Spor Kulübü'nün de aslanlar gibi mücadelelerini veriyorlar. Ancak Yalçın yine erken veda etti birinci turda. 4. etaba.
İşte bir tarafta
Susuz loading up again. He is relentless. Every time Cengiz finds a moment of stillness, Susuz finds a new angle of attack. This is extraordinary sustained pressure from the young league leader.
Susuz da yine
Susuz's relentless pressure is effective, but it carries a cost.
Az önce belirtmiş.
He burns energy with every sarma attempt, every loading motion that does not land. The question is whether Cengiz can outlast the younger man's fuel tank and make him pay for overcommitting on an attempt that does not convert.
Feyzullah Türk'ün 8 var. Onur Susuz'un da 6. Yani düşünün, bu baş pehlivanlar arasında bu kriterle bu noktada adını şu anda yazdırmış durumda lig etabında.
İşte bunun ne kadar önemli olduğunu ifade ettin sen de Faruk Mutkan. Yenmek, yenmek, yenmek. Sonuca odaklı. Sonunu düşünen başarılı olamaz. Yağlı güreş böyle bir spor. Takımsal sporlar...
Cengiz has found the strengths. He has worked his way into that kispit grip zone, neutralizing the sarma pressure from the base up. When Cengiz has that positional control, he is extremely difficult to move.
Onlardan biri, genç jenerasyonun önemli temsilcisi olarak sonuca odaklı.
Those legendary names from the previous generation, Arap Mustafa and Serkan Mustafa, were the definitive masters of kispit string control. Cengiz has carried that technical tradition into the modern era, finding the IP, manufacturing stillness, creating opportunity out of apparent inaction. It is an art form.
Çünkü kendi kariyeri, kendi sancağını da taşıması lazım Mehmet Yeşil Yeşil'in.
Onur Susuz Hasan Cengiz mücadelesinde sürüyor rakibini. Onur Susuz. Hasan Cengiz mi? Düzeltiyorum. Bir an resimde kaybolunca
o sicimleri gevşetti, sicimleri...
Warner and Kurt. Warner has been dominant from the first exchange. Every time Kurt finds a countering position, Warner closes it off immediately. This match feels like it is building towards something decisive.
Ben böyle...
Warner is going to the Kasai Dikmisi, what we might call the goat post position, working to lever Kurt's weight downward toward the ground. He was very close to a finish there. Kurt survived, but he has been entirely on the back foot throughout this match.
O teknik maharetleri kapabilirsiniz mücadele içerisinde.
Takım sporlarında da benzer durum geçerli aslında. Ne kadar
tecrübeli
organizasyonda ne kadar güçlü varsa, takım varsa, dolayısıyla o organizasyonun içerisinde mücadele ettiğimiz güçlü takımlarda elde ettiğimiz tecrübeyi başka alanlarda, başka kupalarda, Avrupa'daki mesela futboldan örnek verecek olursak bunu taşıyabilirsiniz. Yani mesela İngiliz kulüplerinin Avrupa kupalarındaki
Warner and Kurt. Warner has been dominant throughout. He is outpacing his opponent at every stage. Meanwhile, Mehmet Yeşil Yeşil and Okan Acar are still going. Acar fighting hard for those points.
Mehmet Yeşil Yeşil and Okan Acar. Yeşil Yeşil has the experience to control the tempo against a younger, more urgent opponent. But intensity is an equalizer. Acar is wrestling for his Kırkpınar future. That urgency changes what a wrestler is willing to risk.
Kaybetmemeleri gerektiğini ifade etmek isterim. Çünkü ustalardan bugüne kadar hiç alamayacakları tecrübeyi onlarla mücadele etme şansı bulduklarıyla birlikte alıyorlar. Dolayısıyla hem ustalar hem çıraklar kazanıyor burada.
Bu arada bir sağlık ekibinin müdahalesi sonrası Onur Susuz paçasını bağlıyor.
Tabii sınırlı alanın kenarına kadar bazen düdüğü duyamıyorlar. Hasan Cengiz de çok kontrollü. Orada Onur'un yere inerken ufak bir sıkıntısı oldu ama Hasan bekliyor şu an rakibini. Yine keyifli bir mücadele birinci turda. Ben Cengizhan Şimşek mücadelesini biraz daha Yalçın Üncül'le uzar diye düşünmüştüm ama
The transparency of the league point system has been a genuine improvement for the sport. Every wrestler knows their number. Every fan can follow the mathematics. The drama is legible, not just to insiders, but to new viewers.
Enerji Türkiye.
That openness has helped build the audience for Yagli Gür significantly.
All four remaining first-round matches are still live simultaneously across this field. The noise level here has not dropped once since the action began. Yeltsin Unkul has been eliminated. Serkan Sertürk and Hamza Özkaradeniz are still going. Confirmed advances from round one so far. Enes Doğan, through. Cengizhan Şimşek, through. For matchups still to be decided.
Var mı bir gelişme? Bu yüzden de Şener Sar bizlerle birlikte. Mikrofonu yakın tutarak Şener.
Sevgili Faruk'tan öncelikle hoş geldiniz Kocaeli'ye. Baş altında mücadeleler devam ediyor. Onu belirteyim. Ligin etabında baktığımızda 3. etap sonunda Necip Al liderliğini sürdürüyor. Ve ardından Sinan Yıldız, İmran Vadi, Yusuf İslamtaş mücadelesi. Bu şekilde puan durumu devam ediyor. Ligin ilk etabında baktığımızda Necip Al
The Alavsikiz picture has already shifted from where it stood an hour ago. Erkal's loss reshapes the math for every wrestler below him in the standings. We will be back as round 1 concludes here at Sekapark.
yine 3. etapta da baktığımızda
665 years of Kırkpınar. And here in Kocaeli, in round 1 of the final league stage, the field for this summer's championship is being determined in real time. That continuity, that unbroken chain reaching back to the 14th century, is what makes every match on a Turkish oil wrestling field carry particular weight.
yine baktığımızda Kerem Kera yoluna devam ediyor. Teşekkür ederim.